Shalom Aleichem to everybody, all the beautiful chevra online and all the beautiful people here in person. Be'ezras HaShem, as you know, and we open up with this, the nakuda of gratitude, just a karas hatov, that we can have this opportunity to come and share and to have a conversation that's a qualitative conversation, I believe. It's a deep conversation. It's a conversation just trying to fathom the depths of the human experience. And hopefully every single time we meet, we ask questions. Do we always answer them? I don't think so. But it gives us something to think about. We have something to think about. And together we build. And Be'ezras HaShem, just to start off with, number one, the recognition that wherever we were, we've das tachtoin chitzoni, we've come from a place and we've now come into a place. Das tachtoin chitzoni. Just to take a note of where you are. And this is very healthy for us on many different levels. When we're learning, when we're engaging, the memory works better. When I remember the placement physiologically where I was, so I'm aware of self, but I'm aware of the space I'm in, that's going to affect my memory. So when you emotionalize something and you are aware of the space that you are in, your memory functions better. It's a whole conversation within itself. So das tachtoin chitzoni, just take note quickly and we're done. And then das tachtoin pnimi, I'm here, take a breath, just become embodied to the best of your ability. I say just become embodied. Wherever you are, just experience your experience right now in the present moment. And one more thing that we will do today, if you would like to be invited, to allow yourself to be invited, put a smile on your face. As we know by the Talmud Devara, the Ramak writes in Pardes Rimonim, in Talmud Devara in the second parak, that a smile is an aspect of Keser. The first part of the second part, smile is an aspect of Keser. Put a smile on your face and think about 3 things that you are grateful for right now in the present moment. 3 things that you are grateful for. It could be the smallest, tiny things. 3 things that you are grateful for in the present moment with a smile on your face. Chazdei Hashem. The Ikar Bechina of Yehudi is Haida'az. We know from Leah, she named Yehuda, and the emanation of that name is sourced in Hakaras Hatov, gratitude. And Be'ezras Hashem is Barach, a Leilu Nishmas Reisha Devara Bas Yaakov HaKohen, and as well our dear friend Chabura Chaver Reb David Schwartz is sitting Shiva for his mother. So Be'ezras Hashem, she should have bracha. The whole family should have bracha, mazel and hatzlacha, and Leilu Nishmas to Reb David's mother. And the name is on the phone and I didn't take it off. Be'ezras Hashem, I've got it in mind. She should have an aliyas neshama, and Baruch Hashem, the family should have bracha, mazel and hatzlacha. And as well, refuah shalema, Mayan bas Devaira Hadassah, and Refival ben Tova Fei. Chazdei Hashem, beautiful people. They should go from strength to strength. And as well, each week we have Hakaras Hatov for the chassan who's getting married tonight. The chassan's getting married tonight, so he decided to sponsor this whole, the awakening and this segment of the avodas that we're in. So you should have bracha, mazel and hatzlacha, mazel tov, and mama shetivna bais neman b'Yisrael. And the chevra that write online, they know who they are. The chevra that write thank yous online, I just want to bless him and her. The family should have bracha, mazel and hatzlacha. They should as well go from strength to strength. So just to start with a question that somebody asked. We're speaking about das, and we're speaking about how we have this element of programmability, that we can reprogram ourselves using that language. We can engineer and re-engineer ourselves. And we want to get into the state of das. Right now, it's true to say we're speaking about das tachtoin, chitzoni, and pnimi. And right now, in these avodas, we're going more into das tachtoin, pnimi. And somebody asked in regards to reprogramming, reprogramming, re-engineering ourselves, 2 points. Number one, how far and how does the engineering work? And I spoke to him, I ended up speaking to him to get this question more clarified. So in my answer, you'll hear Be'ezras Hashem what he was asking. And as well, what's one thing that we can do to help us? What's one thing that we can do to help us in the re-engineering in who and what we are? So first of all, if a person has a machine, say for example, a person has a machine, a person has I don't know what came up in our conversation is this person was in the army. They were in the Israeli army, so they had guns and they had to prep the gun properly for the different areas that they were in. If they were in the desert, they had to prep their gun properly. If they were just in the suburbs, they didn't have to do that. So this nakuda of having a machine and this nakuda in how the machine is used in a specific setting. So what needs to happen? There needs to be, if a person's going to use a machine in a particular setting and the machine's not 100% built for that, there needs to be a re-engineering. There needs to be a re-engineering. This Yid gave an example. Say for example, a person's in a race and they're driving. So if they're driving in, or if they're riding a bike, driving, and they're in a suburb, then the car needs to be created to be workable in the atmosphere that they're in the suburb, if it's rain and it's biking, you have to change your tires out. If it's a desert, if it's dry. So what needs to happen is you can have the bike and you can have the car. But if the car is built for the suburb and you're going to use it in the desert for a race, you have to re-engineer the car. You have to change the tires. So you're speaking about, for example, he lives in Canada. Or he lived in Canada. When he lived in Canada, you have to put chains or you have to put something on the wheels, nachon? Yeah. In the wheels. So you have to re-engineer the wheels in the winter so the car does not slip. Now, coming from London, we never had extreme weather like that. I never saw that before. So that re-engineering is very common for him and it's very unfamiliar for me. However, now that I know about it, it makes sense. In our lives, the nakuda of re-engineering to fit a situation is very much to do with das and tikkun hamidos. Das and tikkun hamidos. That we have the capability to re-engineer ourselves. We have the ability to meet a situation as it is. Das, I'm present in the moment and I'm relating to the situation as it is. And then what I can then ask is, okay, what now do I need to be doing to meet the situation in a healthy way? So we've got different names for this. But right now we're using the name re-engineering just to express tikkun hamidos and the fact that you have this programmability and choice. So say for example, somebody goes to a levaya. They have to, again, we can use halacha, we can use tikkun hamidos, but we can use another word for the time being, re-engineering, that when I meet the levaya, I have to re-engineer my emotions, re-engineer my thinking to meet the situation. If I go to a chasna, if I go to a simcha, I have to become present and re-engineer how I'm relating to the situation. So again, we can call this in our classic language, halacha dictates to us how to meet a situation. We're calling it re-engineering because what he was asking is, we are programmable. This is true. How programmable? Well, really the limits is up to you. We don't know. We don't know how reprogrammable we actually are. And the matzav is through tikkun hamidos, which should be geschmack, through tikkun hamidos that should be exciting, through stretching ourselves. We've said before that in order to grow, you have to be in your comfort zone. So it's true to say, to move out of your comfort zone equates to growth, but you first have to be in your comfort zone. That comfort zone is knowing yourself. That's das, tachton, chitzoni, and pnimi. That's das, that I have a self-understanding on whatever level. Then when I have that self-understanding, the re-engineering starts to take shape. That I can push myself, I can stretch myself, I can grow, I can expand myself. And that's ultimately what I want. And really, chevra, beautiful friends, really, when we are growing and there's momentum, that breeds joy. We feel good. We feel good. When we are growing, we feel good. Remember, we said everything is energy. There's Ein Sof coming down into the neshama, which is coming down into the ruach, which comes down into the nefesh, and we're constantly clothing that energy. What we know is when we become stagnant, the energy is still coming down. And when that energy is coming down, it's going to be used. Either it's going to be used in an unhealthy way, or Be'ezras Hashem, because we are grounded. And then from being grounded and having a basic element of self-knowledge, we are growing. When we are stretching ourselves and there's a movement, there's shifts, there's change, that's where a Simchas HaChaim comes from. When we have that momentum, that's where Simchas HaChaim comes from. So in regards to the question, which hopefully is now clearer, how reprogrammable are we? And the answer is very. It's up to you to find out. It's up to you to find out how much in a healthy way you can push yourself and stretch yourself and deepen yourself and amplify yourself, giving yourself new experiences, learning new information. But the Nakuda, even with what we're saying, and we've said this, there's a double-edged sword here. On one hand, I've shared with you time and time again, let this information brush over you. Let this brush over you. Now, the reason why we've said that is because sometimes we could think too much. And that thinking could be overwhelming. Do I understand it? Do I not understand it? And we're only meeting once a week, and we're speaking in a more general language. In the Chaburas, when we sit together and we take a text, we actually do the painstaking activity to make sure everybody has been seen and heard and understood. And they understood on whatever level. And it's painstaking, and it's sometimes very uncomfortable, especially if somebody gets it and somebody doesn't get it, and they can have thoughts inside their head. Didn't we just go over this 7,000 times already? And the answer is, that's part of Tikkun HaMidos. That voice that's coming up and saying, like, get on with it already. That's the programmable part that we want to relate to. So that voice comes up, I know you're there. I know you're there, but now we have to pull out and strengthen the muscle of compassion and empathy to give space for somebody to go through their processing. And it's a journey, and we're all going through it. So we are all programmable, and we can all re-engineer ourselves. To what extent? And this was his question. That's life. That's life. We want to be energetic. We want to be pushing ourselves. And this nakuda of energy is so, so important. We are all energetic beings. We are all energetic beings, and we're constantly clothing this energy. So say, for example, you take a person, typically you can have the analogy of two people in love. Two people, they're building a good, healthy relationship. If they are pushing themselves and they're growing, they're energized. They're energized. They're constantly practicing actions of love. They're constantly practicing the 4 pillars of creating, developing, and building healthy relationship. In the Arbi Sidus, what are the 4 pillars of relationship? Number 1, to be positive. You want to feel good in a relationship, to be positive in a relationship, to spend time together in a relationship, positive, good experiences, to be vulnerable and to live with gratitude. And all of that is nested in kavod. Kavod is respecting boundaries. You consciously, deliberately practice each of these. You can't help but have, hopefully, a good relationship. 2 people are practicing with each other, and you're giving each other that space, and it's very, very powerful. And you'll find some you are better at, some elements you're better at, some is more difficult. So, for example, I find it very difficult. I'm very good at constantly Hakar Satov, appreciating. I'm very, very good at appreciating, and I'm very good at creating good experiences in the house, positive experiences. What I find difficult, and it's excuses. Like the reality is it's excuses, because everything that I'm doing should be for not just now, but it should be for the future as well. I find it difficult to actually go out and do things. And as well, apart from that, it's understanding the language for my wife. What does it mean for my wife that I love her? Is it enough just saying the words? What as well is included in that? Or, for example, my children. What does it mean for my children? I love you. What does that mean? So it's an avodah. And to be present. And so yesterday, for example, I went out on a barbecue. We went out on a barbecue. And that's spending time together. So you'll find certain elements are easier and certain elements are more difficult. Now, do I love going out? Oh, yes, I love going out. But what goes on within me, das tachtoin pinimi, I have hirhurim. If I have to now move around this meeting, I can't cancel this meeting, which really I can. If I really want to, I can say to them, but I feel bad. Why do I feel bad? I have another regesh. I feel bad because this person's waited for months for a meeting. And now for me to tell them that we can't meet. So I've got my nefesh sharing with me information that then brings down my excitement and availability to actually go out. Because I still need to get things done. I've got to get back for 3 shiurim. I like to prepare myself for these shiurim. I don't just go in and talk. I prep myself. I daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm about to talk. Please let me not be the biggest balgaiva. Let me be a healthy kli to Magali Torah. Let me be a vessel to shine your light that people feel safe and loved and they can take this information and do something with it. That takes time. There's a hachana. So that comes up. But yesterday, my son came over, barbecue. Yes. Why? Because you need to feed that element of relationship. You need to feed it. So what we are saying is re-engineering is real. And you are gifted with all of the elements once you're educated about them. And that's what we do in our Derech HaAvayda. Our Derech HaAvayda is a very integrated, healthy, holistic system. Derech Eretz Kadmol Torah. We need to regain our Derech Eretz, not just as an individual, but we need to regain our Derech Eretz as a nation. So for example, the beliefs, re-engineering our beliefs. So Lemashal, thanks to Reb David Schwartz, who we had Chabura last Motzei Shabbos, and he shared an Avodah which I gave to this Yid. And he did this Avodah. We spoke on Sunday, I think it was, Sunday morning. And Reb David Schwartz, who Leilu Nishmas, his mother, so there's an Avodah that he's been doing, which is a beautiful Avodah. Take a sentence, something you want to work on, and write it out 100 times. We say 101 times. Write it out 101 times. A sentence you want to work on. So you do 10 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the morning, 10 to 15 minutes in the afternoon, 10 to 15 minutes in the evening. And what you want to do is write. You want to write. At first you may be a bit tired, but you become quicker at it. But the fact is that, if you write, HaShem is beautiful and created a beautiful life and wants us to live a beautiful life in His world. One sentence, and you repeat that and repeat that. So this Yid, he actually, from Yom Rishon, when I spoke to him, I gave him the Eitzah of Reb David, Refuah Shleimer at that time for his mother, and then a Baruch Dayanemes for his mother. He did it, and all of this week, I spoke to him yesterday, and I asked him, how's it going? Because I wanted to speak about it based on his question. And he says, it's amazing. I've done it every single day. It's become quicker. My hands are hurting because I don't usually write. I can't necessarily read what I wrote. But I'm mamish wow, Hashem is beautiful. Hashem made a beautiful world. Gewaldig, Hashem wants me to live a beautiful life in His beautiful world. And he's noticed he's been happier. So again, what he's asking is re-engineering is real. Tikkun Hamidais is real and it's geschmack. It helps you. It's such an awesome gift. And some people may say, I've gone through, learned Musa, and I got put down. And okay, I'm not talking about any of that. Change your stories. What we're trying to achieve here is greater Simchas HaChaim. And to have the points that you can focus on and work on to make conscious. And there's not so much. The whole Derech of Avodah is not so much. I have to concentrate on maybe everyday micro habits that you potentially are doing more than half already to make conscious. So if it's physical health, okay, I drink, make it conscious. Okay, maybe a couple of breaths or become more conscious about your breathing. We all sleep, make it conscious. When we are Isaac in an Avodah and it's conscious, changes everything. And as well, in the Derech of Avodah, the integration process, we're doing a lot of it already. So sometimes, we have to add a bit. We have to meisif. But that's part of stepping out of our comfort zone. But what that does is that the moment, as the Ropshitzer writes, the moment you make a change anywhere, you make a change everywhere. Then what happens? You make a change and it affects every area of your life. This is something really important to think about. So my Nefesh Bahami is sharing with me a story. And I can re-engineer that story for the best. Another eitzah I gave him, apart from writing the 100 lines, which you should do b'simcha, he did it before Shachris. He did it after Shachris. He took a schnapps when he finished davening, and he sat down to do it. It took him 10 minutes, and he did 3 lots of it. And he said to me, when I'm writing lines, it's reminding me of school that I had to write lines. I should be a good boy. But here, you're taking now that and you're being matak at it. But it's there for you. The second akuda is to remind ourselves, this is the other eitzah, how we could reprogram. So we gave one eitzah of writing lines, very powerful avodah. Journaling, very, very, very powerful avodah. The other nakuda is recognizing, which is a next layer to this journaling, is your thoughts are always leading you. Your thoughts are always leading you. Whatever you think, that's what's going to become. So when a person has thoughts, why is this happening to me? It's victim thinking. But when a person can become aware of that, and again, conscious and deliberate, conscious, present and deliberate, present, conscious and deliberate, that, this is an opportunity for me to Megal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is that, but I've done journaling. When I've done journaling, and for example, so this targil of writing lines is affirmations. So when I've done that, I remember one of them a long time ago, one of my avodas for the whole Chodesh was that everything is a glorious opportunity to reveal HaShem in the world. Everything is, and I would say it and loud, and I would write it and I would say it and I would dance it in. Dance it, hislavus. There's a couple of different ways of doing hislavus from the world of Musa. One way of doing hislavus, it sounds odd and it looks odd if you don't understand it. But when you've got, for example, 100 people doing it and they're sending in all their videos every day on the group chat, it makes you appear less nuts. But basically, what you do, you take your affirmation, you put on music, and you repeat it. You dance and dance and dance. You repeat it. So we put on music in the lounge and we jump around saying our affirmation. And it changes you from the inside out. It changes you. You can't help but change. When you do something repeatedly for a bunch of days, you can't help but change. And why not gift yourself the being the mechanic over your own machinery, re-engineering yourself to live good. We can. And it's there for us. It's our gift. And that's how we're metaken. And this nakuda that was shared, this is good for today. There were other questions, but this was something that we followed through with. And I think it's just an important reality check that you and I, we can be the mechanics over our own machinery. You and I, we can re-engineer ourselves. And right now, Chevra, we're going through a matzav with Am Yisrael that we need tremendous re-engineering. As we've said this before. And it's good to choose to believe and make real. But when we look out at the world, we really are shifting into our next stage of evolution. We have everything in front of us. Everything is in front of us. People speak about when's Moshiach coming. Moshiach's here. We need to turn up. Everything is in front of us. Really, really, really. And it's a shame. And we know how we will be caught off guard. We know that Amalek, we know that Erev Rav, they're going to throw everything at us. Everything. But we have, for example, in Ovadia and Yol, we have so many prophecies that speak to us and tell us how once we get our act together, everything falls into place. Everybody wants to be sincerely our best friends. This is something which is an eternal promise from Avram Avinu. And Tachlis, we look out at the world. I don't know what to label it. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs in what to label it. Whether it's called, Ikva de Mashiach, as in, this is it. This whole 2000 period is called Ikva de Mashiach. Whether it's called Kibbutz Golios, whatever you want to label it. Whatever you want. I'm not talking about labeling. But when you look out at the world, amazing things are happening. And unfortunately, those amazing transformations come with darkness, because something has to give way, something has to rot, something has to break, something has to die before growth occurs. And Chazal already tell us that when true growth occurs, there needs to be a death. We can call it an ego death. We can call it an ego death. And right now, as individuals, we've got the glorious opportunity in front of us to make massive shifts. And those massive shifts don't need to be so difficult, because we've got most things in front of us right now. We've got most things in front of us. And we need to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have to do our hisbodedus, daven for ourselves and others, and to be guided to recognize how you work in order to be a giver. In order to be a giver, to receive and to give. Be'ezras HaShem Yisbarach. So before we go into the text, let's take any questions on what we have just shared. And again, every single time we're speaking here, it's to deepen and it's to expand and amplify these principles. And these principles are general principles. We're framing a moving system for the sake of understanding and dialogue, and then you will figure out in your life how it fits in. So we're taking a moving, malleable system and freeze-framing it for the sake of education. But the ins and outs of how you live from day to day, that's very, very grey. That's very grey. Oh, should I do this or should I do that? Well, that's up to you. That's up to you. And sometimes we will get it really right. And sometimes we will get it and we're off slightly. And that's okay. That's part of growth. The Torah already tells us the wisdom of the Torah. The tzaddik falls 7 times. You can only understand Torah Gemara Gittin when you fall, when you stumble. Torah is not afraid of falling. What Torah asks of us, get back up. And we can't do it by ourselves. We need each other. We need to be in communities that encourage us to live extraordinary, ordinary lives. Good, poshut lives. And we can. And that's already the shift, this evolution of our nation, the evolution of self. Whether you want to go in the derech of the Baal Shem Tov, that everybody will be meyached yichudim. You observe in the world today, Pelagic, it's amazing. Someone just got me a sefer yesterday. It's not here, it's upstairs. Someone got me a sefer yesterday. Beautiful sefer. B'yam derkecha, from a Talmud of Rabbi Shimon Morgenstern. And it's Yichudim of Pesach. It's Yichudim of Purim. It's Yichudim. I've got the Pesach one. I think he actually bought me the Pesach one as well. And it's the Kabbalistic intentions. And it's mamash like an art scroll for Yichudim. Pelagic. So however that Baal Shem Tov story is going to manifest, that everybody will be meyached yichudim, we have our own interpretation of what it is. It's not necessarily just the Rashash. But whatever that means, to be meyached yichudim, we've got 3 layers in the Masorah that I received from the Pilsner Rav and from Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Shapira, from the Nestorim. There's 3 layers. One is just being grounded. That's the first level of yichudim. Just being grounded. I'm being miyached, I'm integrating my different parts, and then we grow from that. But then we do get more classically Kabbalistic, where people are sitting and then being miyached on Shemus, and they go to different places, and then in that experience, what are they doing? Where are they going? That's something which we can observe in the world today. People are doing that. People are doing. We've got 3 different chaburas where we're Isaac in Yichudim. We're Isaac in Yichudim. One group right now is what Isaac in the beginning of Tikkun Nefesh. Tikkun Nefesh, which is found in the beginning of the Siddur. Tikkun Nefesh, if you open up a Sfad Siddur, you open up a Siddur after Birchas HaShachar. Yeah, Merkava, Tikkun Nefesh. It's in the Siddur. It's in the Siddur. It's a meditation. There's as well, for example, Gilui Hadas, which people are becoming a lot more in the general world familiar with. Gilui Hadas, there's 2 beautiful, beautiful tefillas. One beautiful tefillah of Gilui Hadas is found at the beginning of the Siddur. The Sfadi, typically the Sfad showed, Mitok Midvash I think has it as well. Eiduta Mizrach. So there's Gilui Hadas, revelation of Das. There's a short one and a longer one in the Siddur. So these ideas of healing and integration, when we open up our eyes, our ears, our hearts, it's happening. Something is shifting. Something's happening. And unfortunately, it's happening. And with that, parallel to that, a lot of damage. A lot of damage. And the healing process includes going through that damage. It really does, and holding that damage and supporting each other as we go through that damage. If anyone has any better ideas than HaKadosh Baruch Hu, let me know. Let me know. But Be'ezras Hashem, we're doing...
Why do you add that if anyone has a better idea than HaKadosh?
I'm being sarcastic.
No, I'm really asking
because Tachlis, Chazal tell us that this is how it works. Chazal share with us this is how, and it's really sad. And what we want to be part of the solution, not the problem. And it's tough. It's tough. Being part of the solution in this generation is you have no idea what to do. You really don't have any idea what to do. All you know in your Daladamais, if you choose to make and you choose to believe and keep real, you open up a Shulchan Aruch and you work through the Shulchan Aruch, working on the Shulchan Aruch, and hopefully, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm trying my best, Shulchan Aruch, I'm trying my best, V'ahavta l'recha kamoicha. Hopefully you make it first, past the first halacha. Yeah, Be'ezras Hashem.
First Ramah.
Yes. And we have to believe that HaKadosh, everything that we do, HaShem loves. Every bracha, every good act, just being here in Eretz Yisrael. Even the Chiloni here in Eretz Yisrael is not considered a Rasha, because they're here. So somebody may, it's a nice Hasidic Shavuot. Thank you to Parashas Emor. Nice Hasidic Shavuot in Parashas Emor. What do you do with that? It's very confusing. Very confusing. That if a person's a Rasha, the land will sick them out.
They're still there.
Yeah, so, okay. You could look at the Sugiyas. It's a big world. Hashem is really big. Hashem is very big. Hashem is very patient. Hashem is very compassionate. The Torah is very big. The Torah is very deep. And all we can do right now is to be activists of love, peace, compassion, discipline. To be disciplined. To follow Torah and Halacha to the best of our ability, coupled with Kedusha and Tahara. Really, that's all we can do. To make sure that we're working on our Kedusha, making sure that we're working on our Tahara. That means get off to the best of your abilities, in context, obviously, all the things on the machine, on this thing, all the things that people... I'm talking about not the apps, but all the newsreels and all the scrolling.
Shorts.
It's shorts and scrolling. You look at the scientific research on what that does to the brain. Our kids in this generation, global, humanistic. I'm talking about from the human species. For anybody who's Shomer Torah mitzvahs and working on their Kedusha and Tahara, they are far better off. But you look, intellect has dropped. Intellect has dropped. It's now a fact. There's several papers being written on this, and this is because people are so caught up with soft addictions or harder addictions, and those soft addictions are starting from age 8, 9, 10 already, research is showing us. I read a paper from in America, an American paper from New York, age 4, 5, the addictions are starting. Outside of New York, and depending which demographic they're coming from, it's a little bit later. But this is terrible. But this is part of the process. And we have to believe that even though this is happening, something's changing, something's happening and something's changing for the better. I may not understand it, but I don't necessarily need to understand it because Hashem's in charge. What I need to do is be responsible in my life. I have to take full responsibility. I have to live a life of Hakar Satov, Hod, Netzach, to have hope and Yesod resilience. Mental and physical health, the tikkunim of our generation. And with that, again, the architecture of the soul. Understanding that I'm relating to my story in the present moment, make that story great. Make that story great. What's in America they say, what's his name? Make the story great again. Make the story... Maga. Make the story great again. Really, make your story the greatest story. And we need to do it together. My job is to work on myself and constantly re-engineer myself. Simchas Chaim, Yeshiva Das. We have all the ingredients. And then to encourage others. Encourage others humbly. We live in the generation of Nistarim. So, Be'ezras Hashem is Barach. So, you had...
I have a question, yeah.
couple of the things, I think it's a two-part question, but I'll try to ask them separately. So one of the things that the Rav mentioned, one of the eitzos, that the writing lines from school, and something positive, and examples were given were about how beautiful Hashem's world is in whatever language that was given. And doing that with eslavos, doing that with excitement and dancing, and that can really, really change a person. So, question is that tikkun hamidos? Is that the classical tikkun hamidos of working on anger or working on no anger? Is that the classic tikkun hamidos, or is that something else? Like those examples?
So your question is, writing lines and journaling and doing hislavos, is that classical tikkun hamidos?
Specifically the examples given of seeing the world as and Hashem as a beautiful...
So there's sur mirava asay tov. We want to get rid of our bad midos, the unhealthy midos, the midos that don't propagate good living, and we want to asay tov, bring in the good ways,
So
good midos.
Or is that just asay tov?
So that's asay tov on a certain respect. But hopefully, what happens, there is a principle. There's two parts to your question, and the next part is important as well. The first part is yes. The more that, again, remember the principle. Whatever we feed becomes stronger, and whatever is louder will grab our attention. So by definition, typically most of the time, when I feed the good midos, bad midos typically quieten down. Yet, as well,
Are they dealt with?
even without dealing with them, sometimes they will just dissipate. Even without dealing with them, there are many times they will just dissipate. That's number one. Number two is this classical? Is this, as well, part of your question? Is this a classical, part of Tikkun Hamidos? So I'm hearing A and B of what you've said so far. So I would say it's classical in the sense that yes, in the world of Musa, these techniques were used. Hislavos is brought in the Sfarim. You can open up Yisrael Salan and you can open up his students. Hislavos is something so powerful and important. Again, you're feeding a middah, you're making it loud. Emotionalizing is very, very powerful. So yes, I would say that these are typical, classical forms of Tikkun Hamidos. Of Asay Tov and Sumira. Sumira as well. Sumira.
Meaning it can work for us.
Yeah.
By changing the sentence.
Yes.
And the second question...
You have to know what you're speaking to.
Correct. So there's an architecture that we need to be aware of. You have to understand the architecture a little bit. But yes, the fact is, though, if you open up a Rabbi Yisrael Salant and if you'd open up, a Dov Katz, where he's got 5 volumes, all of these are spoken about beferish. And it happened to be, I was zeicha to sit by people who encouraged me, whether it was Rabbi Ephraim Greenblatt, he encouraged me, journal and write every day. Write your midos or write your divrei Torah. He wrote Revivot Ephraim, person I spent a lot of time with. Zeicha spent a lot of time with him. Or for example, whether Hislavos, whether Rav Volby, whether Reb Yitzchak Grudzinski, whether Zaidi Motel, Reb Mordechai Zuckerman, they live this. These are things that they spoke about, and these are the gifts that were left behind by Rabbi Yisrael Salant.
And the second part, thank you. The second part of the question was from the Rav Shitzer. A change in one area affects everywhere. It's applied to this.
Everything. So this nakuda, in part of our derech of avodah, especially in the third segment called Sefer Chaim. So the first part is the general overview, 12 to 14 weeks. We can cerebrally go through the general overview. So this is an akuntrus that's not on the shelf right now, Bacharta B'chaim. And then we've got first stages of Chabura that just looks at the whole integration process. The second shlav of the Avodah, which goes a little bit deeper, and we are playing around with this, with the material that we are in now. This is called Bekitzer Derech HaAvodah. Bekitzer Derech HaAvodah are contrasim that we learn together and we go through and we really try to own, but it's around the text, like we're doing here. So you've got the text and you could look back at the text and you could write notes. The third is called Sefer Chaim. Sefer Chaim is mamash got a bracha from the Pilsner Rav. Sefer Chaim goes through all of the different elements that we've spoken about in a very organized fashion, and you ask 6 questions. What is this What do I want my beliefs to be about this particular area? Say, for example, it's health. What do I want my best, most beautiful beliefs to be about health? Why do I want it? How do I want it to look? How am I going to get there? What happens if there are obstacles? And how am I going to celebrate my micro and macro wins? As you go into the Avodah, all the way through, a question we ask, especially in Bekitzer Derech HaShem, the second set of Chaburas, and Sefer Chaim, is what we call a ecological check. What's an ecological check? It's Avodas Hashem Klali. So what that is, and this is based on the Ropshitzer, when you are going to work on something, is there somebody that needs to know about what you're working on? Is it a reality where maybe you could leave somebody out? So, for example, many a time when a person chooses to be Isaac in Avodas Hashem, and I hear this a lot from the husbands more than the wives, but I don't speak so much to the wives, I speak a lot more than the husbands. A lot of the time the husbands, they get into Hasidus, they get into Pnimius, and they're growing, and they come to me repeatedly. I am growing and I'm working on this and I'm working on that, and my wife doesn't have a clue what I'm doing. She thinks I'm nuts. She thinks I'm absolutely nuts. The Streimel and the Bekesha, if it's that, or if it's a Tanis Dibur, or if it's learning late at night, or if it's closing my eyes and spending a good few minutes on saying Hashem, Hashem. And there is this nakuda called an ecological check. An ecological check. Who do I have to be aware of as I grow? Who do I have to be aware of as I grow? And Rabbi Singer was very makpid on this. Rabbi Singer was always makpid, especially with Balei Tshuva, if they were married, especially with Balei Tshuva. Dain Lopin, the Biala Rebbe, and the Pilsner Rav were very, 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 very makpid. So much so that one has to be extra careful because, say for example, you're dealing with a spouse that didn't buy in to what we label religion, and now you have one spouse. A divorce should occur, chas v'shalom. You have to do everything in your power to create balance and harmony. Everything in your power. Everything. I can't begin to tell you how much this comes up. And the ecological check is so important. And it's an avodah. And it takes Baruch Hashem, Gedolei Torah, the Biala Rebbe, Dain Lopian, Mamish Gedolei Torah. Rabbi Singer was a tzaddik. I wouldn't call him a godel b'Torah, he was a tzaddik. But the nakuda of chokhmah that one needs, and this is something very important. This is something very, very important. So I'm hoping that opens up and expands on this nakuda of the Ropshitzer. A change anywhere is a change everywhere. There's no such thing as isolation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No such thing as isolation. So Baruch Hashem, going into the text, going weiter into the text, we spoke about Chazdei Hashem, we spoke about the three modes of human experience, and this is where we are up to. We spoke about physical sensations, we spoke about the language of the heart, emotions, we spoke about fleeting thoughts, and we spoke about the bodysuit as the body of how we are experiencing. So we just one sentence from the bodysuit as a bodysuit of experience. The bodysuit becomes not a cage but a vessel, a living temple through which awareness meets creation. Now, I believe we're up to physical. Are we up to physical sensations? Does anyone remember? Typically I mark down, and for some reason I didn't mark down. I think we're up to physical sensations. Yes. Okay. So we'll move to physical sensations. I think this is where we are up to. What are physical sensations? Physical sensations are the body's immediate signals, the raw data of experience. They arise from the meeting point between the inner and outer worlds. The warmth of the sunlight on the skin, the heaviness of fatigue, the pressure in the chest when stressed, the flutter of excitement before speaking, the coolness of the air filling the lungs. We can group them into several families of sensation. Again, what we're trying to understand here is in Avodas HaKodesh, to the best of our ability, the more that we can break down and create experiential language that relates to you, we can get on the ladder of growth. If we're speaking too cerebrally, if we're speaking too abstractly, then what happens is the run is too big, and it could be you have nowhere to start. So what we are constantly in the Derech Eretz part of this Avodah is trying to communicate in such a way where everybody can join in. Everybody can join in. We don't want to leave anyone behind. Everybody can join in on every level, and we're trying to speak very generally here. And obviously, the more that we get into it, we can become far more sophisticated and nuanced. But let's see if this is MS what I'm saying. Let's see if this is MS. So how could we group sensations of the physical? Temperature, we have hot, cold, warm, and cool. Yeah, good? Mm-hmm. Okay. Pressure and density. Tight, loose, heavy, light, open, constricted. Texture, smooth, rough, sharp, soft, prickly, sticky. I'm just giving few words here. But the nakuda is, I don't think so far anyone's going to challenge. I don't think so. Surprise me. Make it a good challenge if possible. Movement and flow. Vibration, tingling, pulsing, trembling, swirling, and still.
Everything's really just vibration.
That's true as well. So we're speaking about a vibration that one feels in the body. Energy and space. Expansive, contractive, grounded, floating, centered, and scattered. Comfort and discomfort. Ease, ache, numbness, calm, restlessness, pain. These sensations are neither good or bad. They simply are. They arise, shift, and pass. When we attend to them with curiosity rather than judgment, the body reveals remarkable intelligence. So again, Rigshe Gufani, you live in a body, and what we have said is part of the system of the Guf, which houses Das, which houses consciousness in the soul. The body is very intelligent. And when we're guided experientially into the body, and we're guided specifically into further words that hopefully are common to us, it gives us the availability to relate to the body in a healthier way. So far, does this make sense? Rigshe Gufani, does this make sense? Yeah? Does anyone want to add to this? Obviously, you can add in your own words. You can add in words that are missing. We're good? Yes?
Do you find that people that basically live in the mind are not able to relate to the Pilsner approach at all?
Pilsner approach?
I mean,
I would say that this derech, if people, let's reframe your question. If people live in the mind, can they still relate to this derech? Yes, because we're speaking the language of the mind as well.
Do you mean if someone's stuck in their mind?
If someone's stuck in their mind, the derech is still speaking to them because we're going to get to fleeting thoughts. However, so this is it. However, what I would say is anybody who is anywhere, this is how the human being works. It's not, this is a universal approach. This is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam.
How haven't they trained themselves to be different?
So we'll go through exercises in a minute to help start bridging. Bridging. So, yes.
So just on this last sentence that we read about curiosity rather than judgment, it reveals remarkable intelligence. Would it be more fair to say it reveals like it's more of a sophistication than intelligence? Because we've said in a lot of other contexts, it's that if we just do what we're supposed to do, the nefesh can take care of things. So is that more intelligence versus just recognizing your body has a lot of what it's supposed to do? Because I'm not
very nice.
Semantic on words.
Very nice. I think maybe it's both. So the question is, would this reveal more of a sophistication than an intelligence? So I would use both words. I think what you're saying is spot on, that there is a sophistication, and kapshutai, when a person starts to understand how we work, and this is universal, for sure, it reveals a sophistication. Yes, 100%. And that's sometimes, hopefully, again, it's not overwhelming. There's a sentence that we read here a little bit later about, did we read it with emotions? 1 second. We'll come to it with emotions if we remember the goal. Oh, it's highlighted, I think. So if it's highlighted, no, I can't find it. So in regards, for example, to emotions, in regards to emotions, our wanting is to hold, not become overwhelmed. Our wanting, there was a precise language, it could even be that sentence. We want to be able to hold, that's das, not become overwhelmed. So yes, there is a sophistication, but yes as well, when we're metaken the midos, there is as well an intelligence, because we're being mitlabesh, the Orein Sof, and Hashem will speak to us through our physical sensations. So there's a recognition of the fact that the human body is so sophisticated. And as well, there's definitely an intelligence that starts to emerge.
Right. And that nuance that I just referenced, that seemingly applies to pretty much everything, because in theory, in the same idea that we just said this sentence, that it's curiosity rather than judgment,
Yes.
that can apply to anything that's going on in the world.
Correct.
But the key is being able to hold it, because as soon as you're overwhelmed, then it's detracting from your ability.
Correct. So that's the key, to hold it. And that's called das. And specifically, we're talking about das tachton. Now we're shifting, as we know, from das tachton chitzoni, and we're speaking a language of das tachton pnimi, 100%. But we recognize that our machinery has an intelligence to it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created our machinery with intelligence. So the nakuda is twofold, recognizing what you're saying, the sophistication of it, and it should give us, hopefully, as the Rambam tells us in the beginning of the Rambam, that it should give us, wow, this is wild, wow. And it should be as well a bechina of Ruach HaKodesh. Should be a bechina of Ruach HaKodesh, that we could start recognizing when we're attacking the midos, that my body's telling me something. And you should know, the Sfarim HaKadoshim speak about, for example, the Parashas Vayigash, I think it is, in Tziva Shalom, where he speaks about emunah of the Evarim. Your emunah, your Evarim has an emunah. It has an emunah. So the more that your Evarim of the guf, have an intelligence. They have a perception. And when you train that perception becomes more spot on, not spot off.
That's the depth behind what the Abraham Yishach that was that his body
Yes.
already was more ahead of his stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. So what?
Is that his body or his nefesh?
His
Well,
nefesh, his nefesh and his body.
Wait,
Because
the
his
bodies of the Evarim themselves
the
are nefesh.
Evarim, well, that's again, it's different shitot. Are we going to say that the body is nefesh or it's part of nefesh? It's a machlekes with, for example, not machlekes, but difference of opinion between different shitot. But let's say right now that all the nefesh sits in the body. So the body is going to be that vehicle, baklal, that communicates to us. The vehicle will be that cloud.
He connected it to a parsha in the Torah and Chumash.
Pardon?
He connected it to a parsha in the Chumash.
Nesiva Shalom speaks about emunah of the Evarim.
Yeah, but what was the? I think he said something connected.
Avram Avinu with his Yishlach Yada.
Vayishlach Yadoi, when we speak about in Chumash, Vayishlach Yadoi, when we speak about Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayishlach Yadoi, the guf knows.
Yeah.
The guf knows.
Is that the example last week of driving?
Pardon?
Is that the last week's example of
Yes,
driving?
yes. Your body will guide you, yes. So why sensations matter? Most people live in the mind, narrating, analyzing, predicting. The body's language gets drowned out by constant internal noise. Yet, sensations hold the key to presence. Physical sensations anchor us in the now. It bypasses the stories we tell and offers a direct doorway to awareness. Thank you. Every time we feel, rather than think about what we feel, we move closer to reality as it is. So, again, what we are trying to accomplish here is recognizing that I can get trapped in my own world, which then is in my world. But we want to be in Hashem's world. What's Hashem's world? Here, now. This is Hashem's world. Hashem's communicating to me. This is, you are a revelation of Hashem. I'm a revelation of Hashem. Everything is a gilui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as we know, based on Gemara Kedushin and the famous Baal Shem Tov, everything is a mirror. Everything is a communication to us. And it's rather beautiful when we can really hold that space. And when we're working on ourselves to better our lives, Tachlis, what starts to happen is more good communication starts to happen. Because again, there's an algorithm. Whatever you feed becomes,
Stronger.
whatever you place your attention on,
Louder.
whatever you feed becomes stronger. So we're asked to. Yeah, thank you. We're asked to live a good life. Bacharta b'chayim. Doesn't say choose death. Choose life. Give yourself good experiences. Give yourself good experiences. You have reshus to give yourself good experiences from the Torah. So when we feed our guf good experiences in a healthy way, wow. When I know cold plunge, like for example, I know the days when my eldest son, we have a mikveh. So the mikveh is a cold mikveh. Done for already when we built the mikveh however many years ago, 15, 16 years ago. All my kids know if they want to go to the mikveh, it's cold mikveh. Cold mikveh. Why? Because cold mikveh, according to a number of the tzaddikim, we have a Masorah in our family, cold mikveh is mishpat. Cold mikveh gets you into a state of das. In our mishpacha, by the Ropshitz and others, the mikveh was a place where you truly experienced hasaga. Why? Because there was a complete alignment from the body up. You get into the mikveh and it's freezing cold. Malchus, your body, malchus. Then nefesh, physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts. Into das, into neshama, and you receive. Peladik. Cold mikveh is taking keri, happenstance, to yakar, rich, presence. So your body knows. You create that health and alignment, and that's why in our dor, there's definitely a emphasis, as we know in our derech of avodah, and throughout the generations, people can say, oh, the tzaddikim didn't do this. That's okay. It's okay. We're not here to fight, cause problems. They only had cold mikvahs. So, yeah, they only had cold mikvahs. But what we're saying, the nakuda of the body, physical health, and the 5 pillars of physical health. In the Arabi side, there's 5 pillars of physical health: breathing, hydration, sleeping, eating, and movement. We have to take care of that in our dor because we see it's not fully working properly. So we have to be active in it. That's shamar nafshecha. We have to be active in it. And what happens? Your body will then give you the availability for you to receive information in a more kasha and yasha way. This is very important as well to realize, because when we're speaking about ruchnius, when we're speaking about ruach hakodesh, when we're speaking about the kohen gadol and the kohen, when they're wearing the urim and tumim, or ksava kabbalah, or is light, tam, urim v'tumim is light and reason. What is this nakuda of light and reason? The nakuda of urim v'tumim, light, comes down. Tam is the nefesh. How am I interpreting that which is going on? Who's that interpretation up to? You. That's your glorious gift. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you so much power. You have the ability to interpret. So if your body, to the best of your ability, obviously some people are less physiologically healthy and more physiologically healthy, fine. We get that. We're validating that. We're not pushing that aside. But a person who's physically healthy, they train their body to the best of their ability, they eat healthy to the best of their ability, and they do the other things that are needed, sleep and hydration, to the best of their ability. You are going to feel better on all levels than a person who neglects their body, typically. Obviously, there's going to be the Yotzer and, the Yotzer Dofen. There's going to be the people who can do whatever they want and live thousands of years. That's Kipshutai. But the Nakuda, generally speaking, somebody who, I'll give you a prime example. One of the first things that the Biala Rebbe would give Eitzah to somebody who was finding things difficult: go for a walk, go for a run, sweat, go swimming. Kipshutai. Why? Because there seems to be something very magical, which is actually just very poshut, that when you work your body, you're giving, then you're reconnecting to your guf. When you reconnect to your guf, you're changing something inside. So your interpretation, because of the chemicals that are being released, oxytocin or serotonin, the chemicals are feel-good chemicals, so you're going to interpret better. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created such an awesome system, such a wonderful system.
Is it just physical or spiritual?
Both.
Well, the physical,
Both. The both.
physical assists the spiritual.
Both. It's one and the same.
Oxytocin helps a person
It's one and the same. Yeah, it's
feel good and feel connected.
correct. It's one and the same.
It's just one and the same.
It's one and the same. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us. It's a glorious gift. And in our door, when we are moving into this next stage of evolution, we're getting a language. We're getting a language from the world of science to help us deepen this relationship, to give us even a clearer expression of how to help ourselves, which is marvelous. This is marvelous. This is wonderful. So, many people live in the mind, narrating, analyzing, predicting. The body's language gets drowned out by the constant internal noise. Yet sensations hold the key to presence. Physical sensations anchor us in what's now. Bypassing the stories we tell ourselves and it offers a direct doorway into awareness. Every time we feel, rather than think about what we feel, we move much closer to reality itself. There's two worlds. Your world, the world you are trapped in, and Hashem's world. Hashem's world is this. The way I start to access Hashem's world. And now we're adding a dimension here, which we haven't shared yet. Das Tachton Chitzoni, with Das Tachton Pnimi, you now can come into Hashem's world. Hashem's world is the present moment and everything that's happening around us. It's Hashem communicating to us. Obviously, the internal world is Hashem speaking to us as well. But when we are present, this is a bechina of a deep inyan found in Likutei Maharan, Ratza V'Shov. And next to Ratza V'Shov is the inyan of halacha. In Likutei Maharan, you have halacha and Ratza V'Shov. How are the two connected? Well, when you are keeping halacha, you're forced into Das Tachton Chitzoni. Okay, I'm now in this situation. What does Hashem ask of me? What does the Shulchan Aruch ask of me in this situation? That's the nakuda of what? That's the nakuda of Das Tachton Chitzoni. Das Tachton Pnimi, I have to go inside and have to think about what that halacha is and have to figure out where I am, and there's always going to be a bissel struggle, as we know, and then I come back out and I choose how I'm going to act in the present moment. So I'm in Hashem's world, then I come into my world, Rabbi Gerzi world. Obviously that's called Hashem's world as well, but in our experience there's a difference. And then I can come back out and I can present myself in hopefully a wholesome, integrated way. Am I going to betray myself or portray myself? Am I going to betray myself? Am I going to maybe do the wrong thing because I'm relating to my nefesh in the present moment? Or am I going to portray my better self? And everyone can. Moreover, sensations are the foundations of emotion and thought. An emotion, like anxiety for instance, begins as a set of sensations. Perhaps tightening in the chest or fluttering in the stomach. A thought, I'm nervous, arises afterwards. If we can meet the sensation before the thought, we often discover calm, clarity, and even insight. I want to pick up on something on this. A person can turn around and say, a thought is quicker than a sensation. I get that. We're always relating to our thoughts in the present moment. Psst. It's working? Yeah. We're always relating to our thoughts in the present moment. I get that. And one can ask where the loop starts from. So this is true. I'm not denouncing that. Maybe if I rewrite this now, I may add that in. But the nakuda of what we're speaking about, the foundation of emotions and thoughts are our physical sensations. That's what we are sharing right now. An emotion, like anxiety, for instance, begins as a set of sensations, perhaps a tightening in the chest or a fluttering in the stomach. A thought, I'm nervous, can arise afterwards. And if we can meet the sensation before the thought, we can often discover calm, clarity, and even insight. Does this make sense to us? Does this make sense? Yes? So think about that. Reflect upon that. This is yours. This is yours. Yes? Yeah? Yeah. So we'll read one more, and then we'll end for today, and you'll break up in your groups. The body as a bodysuit. The body as a bodysuit. And again, chevra, every single time we are going to meet, we're going to repeat the same ideas, slightly differently, and add in another layer. And if you get bored and you choose to stay, what's boredom? It could be thoughts coming up. I've heard this. So that's because you are ragil cerebrally to hear, but we want to own it. We want to be able to own this. I remember once Reb Mordechai Zuckerman said, if you want to come here for bells and whistles, there's the door. If you want to come here for excitement, there's the door. There's the door. What was he trying to communicate? The Avodah of Musa is real change. And real change is to become ragil to something new. And what's going to stop us is our thinking is going to tell us, I've heard this before. And our whole system is going to tell us, I've heard this before. I feel a feeling of bored. Well, how do you code that inside? Again, feelings. Feelings. What you want to know is that that's part of the system to keep you anchored in feeling safe, secure, and certain. Malchus, there's an Indian of Malchus, homeostasis, where homeostasis is your body, your nefesh will do everything it can to keep you safe, secure, and certain. So people speak about how the strongest human drive is the drive for survival. That survival can be unhealthy. That survival could be healthy. If anybody's ever done chesed with working with people on the street. So I spent time working with people on the street, and I found something very interesting, and it took me time to understand this. You can help somebody come off the streets, and you can give them a lot of good. And there's a big percentage of people that go back on the streets after you've helped them. And they didn't relapse. They may have not relapsed, but they will go back on the street, and it's very fascinating. And I sat with a few different people to try and understand what's the mechanism of this. And as we become aware of this derech avodah and the pnimius of this derech avodah, the saying, the strongest human drive is the drive for survival, is true. The survival of the fittest, for example, and the strongest human drive for survival is where you feel safe, secure, and certain. So if a person is unhealthy, or if a person finds safe, security, and certain in a certain place, and for us that appears damaging or silly, but that's where they feel safe, secure, and certain. Why? Because of regilus. Hergel, that's what you get used to. That's what a person gets used to. Whatever you get used to, even if it's damaging, safe, secure, and certainty. Another place where you see this, unfortunately, again, my wife and I have had to deal with this many, many times. An abusive relationship. You could deal with a spouse or something that could be abusive, and you could separate them, and then they go back. Well, why do they go back? And you, in your gaiva, can talk cerebrally, oh, this is silly, they smack you, or they do this, or they do that. And you, the Bal Gaiva, I have all the answers. I have all the answers. And then they go back. And again you go, I'm not going to help you now. You don't listen to my advice. Gaiva. Because they didn't take into consideration, this is how the human being works. So you have to be very sophisticated. How are we going to bypass that? How are we going to create a change that the survival, the strongest human drive is the drive for survival? You have to understand safe, security, and certainty. And you have to change the hergel. You have to change the hergel. You have to change that which a person views as safe, secure, and certain. And then even the spouse that you were speaking to, whether it's the husband or the wife, the husband may say, and we've worked with both, people typically say, oh, the beaten wife. No, a lot of husbands who have abused as well and always spoken about. But when we worked with one particular case, he says to us, I know in my mind, yeah, I find myself going back. I know in my mind, but even we find it difficult. Because the reality is hergel. And again, this is how the human being has been created. This is how HaShem created us. But the beauty is we can re-engineer ourselves. We could re-engineer ourselves. And it takes time, it takes effort, it takes practice, it takes support. But this is something real. I'm bringing extreme cases. But you and I, in our everyday level, Bacharta b'chaim, choose life. Choose to live an exquisite life. And how do you choose that? By picking a middah, working with it, and practicing it, till your new malchus, your new center line is a more advanced, better, healthier center line than what was before. You have a question, yes?
Yeah, so I'm finding more and more recently how much my perspective on things has been moulded and trained by experiences that I had when I was young,
Yes.
as a child.
Yes. So let me just repeat this. So what you're saying, you're starting off by saying how you're noticing that a lot of what you experience has been molded by your upbringing as a child. Okay.
Well, how I experience something.
How you experience it. Okay.
So if I get stressed about a certain situation or something. So how healthy or dangerous is that to should we automatically think, oh, maybe that came back from, it's coming from somewhere, and to try to deal with it and there to understand where it's coming from, put it in perspective?
It could
or
be.
to deal with the here and now?
It could be both. Both. It could be, but you want to have the option to deal with the here and now. Sometimes in therapy and therapeutic intervention, there is an assumption that you have to go into the past and share the story and share the story and share the story. So again, a number of cases, my wife and I, where we dealt with people and they shared the story, it makes it worse. And then I spoke to one of my teachers many, many years ago, and they said, you don't have to go always into the story. If you look at therapy, and again, it's very important because anytime I say something, I want us to understand I'm not puskining on something. Be quiet. I'm not puskining on something. What I'm trying to show is options. And people work differently. People work differently, it's options, and not one system is for everybody. Very important. Very, very important. So the nakuda is for example, what on a certain respect is therapy? Therapy is there's point A, okay? And naturally, if I want to do this, B, I should be able to seamlessly go from point A to point B, okay? So for example, if it's, I want to publicly speak, so I should seamlessly be able to publicly speak. I want to be able to develop the ability to change my body. I want to become healthier, so seamlessly I should be able to do that. What we find in life, we've picked up things. So now, point A to point B, something stops us. So what do? I go to therapy, hopefully to take down that which is stopping me to reintegrate into that which I want to do. Or if a person constantly, again, which is to say, I want a healthy, loving relationship, but a person finds themselves constantly mixing with people who are not good for them. So they go to therapy to make a shift. So then they can actually go to point B in a healthy way. Does that make sense to us? That, in essence, is what therapy is. Yes or no? Yeah? Okay. Yeah?
Yeah, not only that, it's also relationship with self.
Nachon, it's relationship with self, but again, you change your relationship yourself. You could change then your relationship with what's going on outside of you. Of course, it's relationship with self. 100%.
People usually go to therapy because they've got a problem doing something. They want to achieve something.
So again, that's what we're saying. I want to achieve something. Again, point A, I want to achieve something B. Something's not letting me. I need to change that something that's not letting me in order to then go and do what I want to do.
Or I just feel horrible and sad all the time.
Same idea. So I want to feel good. And there's something that's not gifting me right now to feel good. So we go to therapy to make that change to feel good. Yes? So what we just did now is that the two people that brought up things, we're just emphasizing and strengthening this point A to point B, and something's stopping me or holding me back, whatever you want to label it. And I'm speaking generally and quickly, but anything that you bring up in regards to therapy, I believe that it will always be the same system. Point A, point B, something's stopping me, I go to therapy to make a change in order that I can get to point B. Whatever it may be. There is an assumption, which for sure is an important assumption, that I have to talk out and I have to know, where did this start? Because when I was born, it could be getting from point A to getting to point B was seamless and easy. Then something happened, and now I can't get to point B. Something happened. And the question is, do you always have to go back to that something happened in order to make a change to get what you want?
Do you ever have to go back?
Sometimes, again, it depends on the person and we need options. So typically, there is an assumption, of course, you have to go back. However, what we're going to suggest is you don't. This is what Rabbi Yamin was saying. If I recognize in the present moment, there's something in me that's holding me back right now. And what is that going to be? The nefesh. Fleeting thoughts, emotions, or physical sensations. My thinking in the present moment is communicating to me. My emotions in the present moment, my physical sensations in the present moment are communicating something to me. And that is either allowing me to do what I want, or it's gifting me for the time that it needs not to do what I want. And what I can do is in the present moment, without going back to the story, make a shift through being in das, make a shift in my thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations in the present moment and get on and do B. So I don't always have to know the story. I don't always have to go back to the story. I don't even have to know the story. So in different therapies, in different therapeutic modalities, when, again, my wife and I have had to work with somebody, when I've worked, there's times where a person can't even share. They can't even go back. They can't even talk about it. So I bypass the whole thing. And I use certain therapeutic modalities that I don't even have to, as long as they can follow my lead, I don't even have to go back. I don't have to talk about the story. And lo and behold, through going to certain modalities and using those modalities, I did not have to know what they're dealing with. I can be in a situation, okay, you're suffering with something. If you give me permission to allow me to lead you, don't tell me about it. And within 20 minutes, half an hour, there's a softening that they can then get to be. There's a softening, there's a change.
So what's the advantage of ever going back if you don't?
Because sometimes there's a deeper, sometimes it could be for that person, that's the depth of what needs to happen to make the change. All we're saying options. You don't always have to go back into the story. Your nefesh is relating to the past and future. And in the present moment, you can relate to your thinking. You could choose to ignore or explore your thinking, and you can choose to strengthen your das and move on to something. Especially if we are relating to the principles, whatever you feed becomes stronger, whatever is louder grabs your attention. It's how the nefesh works. Sefer nefesh cheshbon nefesh. It's how the nefesh works. And part of that, obviously, is what we feel in our body. If we are aware of what we feel in our body in the present moment, that's going to hopefully help us. Good? Gives you something to think about? And again, my friends, we're not here to give all the answers. We're here to have conversation. The only reason I can stand up here and do this is because I've done this longer than you. That's it. I've done this longer, and because I've done this longer, I've read more. That's it. In a few years' time, you choose to do this, and it's the same with everybody who's now running chaburas. They know so much, and they will know more, and there's people who have gifts in different areas. So everyone on whatever level, I saw by the Kamana, somebody was very, very excited because they had this big nakuda that not everyone could be a baldas. So they're learning Kamana, they're learning Zoya Chai of the Kamana Rebbe, and they found a piece that mamish, they started to cry. This person feels he'll never be a baldas. He'll never, on whatever level, he has glimpses. We've been studying for about a year. And I constantly reassure him, everything takes its time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will gift you when he gifts you, if he's going to gift you. Maybe it won't be in this Gilgul, that's another reality. Maybe it'll be in another Gilgul. But again, we're big thinkers, HaShem is big, Torah is big, we have to be big. So you saw in the Kamana Rebbe, everybody on their own level could be a Baldas, and everyone on their own level could be Isaac and Tikkun Hamidos. And he burst out crying. And since then, he's had so many more moments of Das. So many more moments. He's so excited. I just related to a thought. So he's sitting at the Shabbos table, and he's making Kiddush. And like straight after Kiddush, gewaltig, gewaltig. I had a thought that I wanted to smack the kids because they're shouting so much. And then I had a loving voice. No, they're just being nefesh bahamis. They're just being a nefesh bahami. They're being vildachayas. Gewaltig. They're functioning very, very well. They're doing exactly what they're meant to be doing. Gewaltig. And he felt so good. But it's a gift. HaShem gifted him. There was a change that was made. He changed his perception. And again, we've said before, what you look at is one thing. It's more important how you look at it. More important how you look at it. Let's finish this. The body is a bodysuit. We can think of the body as a bodysuit of consciousness, a living interface that allows the soul to interact with the physical world. The bodysuit receives input through sensations and expresses output through movement and speech. It's both a receiver and a transmitter. When we ignore this suit, we drift into abstractness, disconnected from reality. When we inhabit it, we awaken to the texture of existence itself, the miracle of being alive in a body that feels. So Be'ezras Hashem, Chevra, beautiful Chevra, take a moment. What did you hear today? What did you hear today? What do you walk away with? Be'ezras Hashem, one thing. Maybe it's connected to what we were speaking about. Maybe you're tired and you fell asleep and something else came up. Maybe an insight occurred. Where were you? What do you pick up today? And to remind us that we're here, Be'ezras Hashem, to upgrade our lives. We've been in exile for such a long time. And the Borei Olam created a beautiful world and wants us to live a beautiful life in his beautiful world. And Baruch Hashem, we have this beautiful Torah, this amazing Torah that Hashem gave us. And Hashem's in our life, to be in the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to recognize I could be in Hashem's world. This is Hashem's world when I'm present, when I'm das tachton chitzoni, I'm present, I'm aware. Hashem's talking to us always. And Hashem loves us. And we should practice loving Hashem. It's a practice. All of this is a practice. It doesn't happen always naturally. It doesn't. But the more I can just even say an affirmation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I love you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I love you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you for everything that you give me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mamash, you're beautiful, you're fantastic, you're wonderful. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, your geschmack, whatever language you want. And the fact is, the more you practice it, yes, you may have voices that come up that will try to create, but Hashem, you did this. And okay, hold those voices. Hold those voices like a parent. Das, hold those voices. You did this and that. I'm with you. I hear you. I validate you. And you know what? We love Hashem. Hashem, I love you. Go back to that. Go back and allow that to be strong in your life. Be in makom. Mamash, be in makom. Be in Hashem's world. Because we deserve it. We deserve it. We've been in exile for a long time. And even to unpack the words, we deserve it. We deserve it. We deserve it. This is Chazal. So Be'ezras Hashem, Chevra, we should go from strength to strength. Take a moment. Again, better your lives. What did you hear that helps you today? And we're going to break up now into our groups. And we're hopefully going to do a check-in and share and constantly etch away at making our lives better. L'chaim, Tovim, and Be'ezras Hashem, U'Shalom for you, for your friends, family, for our communities, for Am Yisrael, and for all the human species.